The Drummer Boy of Derby Lane. In the summer of 1985, a man named Ray picked up an old military drum at a car boot sale. He was a collector of antiques, and this particular find fascinated him. He later discovered, through an appraisal, that the drum was no ordinary relic. It dated back to the early 1800s and had supposedly been carried onto the field at the Battle of Waterloo. At first, the drum was proudly displayed, but like many curiosities, it eventually lost its novelty. Ray tucked it away in the loft of his home, just off Derby Lane, where it sat forgotten, gathering dust. That was until the noises began. Night after night, the family were kept awake by the sound of heavy footsteps pacing back and forth above their heads. Bangs, rattles the ceiling, as if furniture was being dragged across the loft floor. Yet, whenever Ray went up to investigate with a torch, the space was silent and still. Then one night, his youngest son came running down the stairs in tears. He swore he had woken to see the loft hatch creak open, and from the darkness, a pale young man's face stared down at him, gaunt, hollowed eyes, and furious. The haunting escalated. Months passed, with restless nights, strange noises, and shadows darting at the corners of vision, until finally the truth of the drum revealed itself. One evening, after a violent series of bangs shook the rafters, Ray and his eldest son climbed into the loft. They searched by torchlight and saw with their own eyes the drum lift into the air and fly across the loft space. It struck Ray in the chest, sending him tumbling backwards through the hatch. His son screamed and scrambled to help him, but was dragged backwards into the dark. The loft hatch slammed shut, trapping him inside. Ray clawed desperately at the door, but it wouldn't budge. From within came the sound of his son's terrified screams, and then silence. Moments later, the hatch opened on its own, and the boy staggered out, shaken and pale. The family fled the house that very night. Ray's wife insisted the drum had to go, and so, with the help of his brother-in-law and two friends, they returned to the house days later. The atmosphere was tense. As they unlocked the front door, nervous laughter filled the air as the men joked to mask their fear. But that laughter quickly died when the sound of heavy footsteps began to pace the loft directly above them. Three of the men climbed first, one wearing a head torch. He pushed open the hatch, peered into the dust-filled darkness, and called back. "Nothing up there, lads, just Christmas decorations." One by one, they climbed inside while Ray lingered near the ladder, unwilling to leave his escape route. That's when one of them spotted it, floating in the old water tank. Half submerged was the drum. For the briefest moment, the beam of the torch revealed the pale young soldier's face staring up from beneath the water. The men recoiled in horror. Ray's brother-in-law, muttering a curse, seized the drum. The moment he touched it, an icy blast of wind through the loft, whipping dust into the eyes. They bolted for the hatch, tumbling over one another. In their desperate scramble to escape, his brother-in-law clutched the sodden drum. As they spilled out of the house and into the street, breathless and terrified. That night, they carried the drum to a patch of waste ground nearby. They doused it in petrol, but no matter how much they poured and how many matches they struck, the drum refused to burn. In the end, they abandoned it and walked away. After that, the haunting stopped, the family returned home, and life went on. But the story doesn't end there. Years later, Ray was walking along Derby Lane. As he passed an old antique shop on the corner, something caught his eye. There, perched on top of a pram outside the shop window, sat the very same drum. His blood ran cold. Without a word, he crossed the street and hurried home, unable to even look back. Some say the drum still exists, and wherever it goes, the restless spirit of the drummer boy follows. So the drummer boy faded back into the shadows, but his story is a warning. Be careful what you bring home. Every antique has a history, and some histories refuse to let go. That harmless trinket on a stall, that old chest in a shop corner, might carry with it a memory, a curse, or some restless spirit waiting for a new place to haunt. So next time you're tempted by a forgotten relic, ask yourself, what else might you be inviting through your door? I'm Mr. Strange, and this has been another haunted tale from Liverpool's past.